I just left another video for Zach and on this subject because I mean part of what I think is that I feel I'm 100% an ally in this, and 20 years ago I I try not to pull this on people. Oh, I used to think like now I think this way, so because I don't think that's cool. I don't really look at things that way. But I mean, part of an element here is that I I also am against civilization, and when I was Zach's age, I was equally against it. But I wanted to go back to nature. I still believe in nature uh, as the source of like my calmness. It's a religious place for me to go. Really, just anywhere out in nature, from a desert to a jungle or whatever. But in looking back, I I find that there is no solution in the past as well. Now, you did get me thinking about saying the state of the individual and individualism in a tribe was not a good state historically. I don't have any citations for that. I might have to stop making the claim that way because a lot of that comes from the fact that I just feel that small groups, people that live in small towns. Now, I live in small towns and they're great, but people that grow up in small towns and they're aware of the way that limits their freedom as individuals. So I do believe in small groups, but not in the ancient tribal way. I want to see our society form more organically, more in the way that a biological system, a body, and in the body there are favored organs. The brain might get more oxygen when the body is oxygen deprived, but when there's enough oxygen, you don't see the brain hogging it. And this is part of a distributed system. Centralized systems tend to generate this thing where even in times of plenty, you'll have somewhere up the hierarchy the resources um, stolen, basically. So what do you think of that?
Um, yeah, I'd like to address, if I can remember all the points that you just made. Um, yeah, I agree with you. With not, yeah, I'm not trying to sway anybody either. I'm not trying to manipulate them into thinking my way. And yeah, I do see that. I see you as an ally um, in this because I mean anybody who wants change and wants something beyond what we have right now is definitely worth talking to, in my opinion. And I try to do that, but it's obvious I was getting angry. I was becoming really frustrated as well, and I really appreciate um, the notion that you might um, look into to some of the things that are being written or that about in the comments about egalitarian societies. Um, yeah, and as far as civilization is concerned, I'm not necessarily against it. I'm definitely not for it. Um, I mean, I hope this doesn't create any confusion, or this isn't about semantics for me. Um, I'm perfectly okay with all ways of life. It's just that when I see uh, a world full of people living the same way, and it's really becoming incredibly unhealthy for all of us. So yeah, I would love for diversity to enter into the equation, and and I would like to be able to support people, in their quest to to find something in their lives that's worth having. So, but yeah, it's difficult online, and it's hard to. And again, just coming online or meeting me halfway right here is just it says a lot to me. I mean, I'm perceiving that you're not just idly passing your time by getting into debates with people about this. This is it. It seems like you're authentically uh, desiring something for yourself, something maybe I guess better. And yeah, and I'm literally doing that in my day-to-day life with people and that are around here that I have in my life right now. Uh, what was the last thing? Um, yeah, and when you say you want to see things evolve organically, um, I think we would be. I mean, when you say that, uh, I hear exactly. I mean, we would be saying the exact same thing when I say our evolutionarily developed way of life, as shown through primitive peoples, uh, gives us. I mean, a model to work from, something that did work, as opposed to trying to scrap this whole civilization thing with rules and laws and uh, a structure that limits and hoards and doesn't really. I feel really stifled as an individual in this culture, and I see, and I have literally met indigenous peoples, and the ones especially here since I've been here, I've sought them out, sought their counsel, and listened to their stories and tried to understand exactly what it is about their culture that is so important to them that they were willing to die for it. And yeah, I mean, it's something so different and other than, there's, um, yeah, I just have a lot of respect for it. So I guess that's what's kind of fueling some of my frustration.
Well, it's interesting you say the part about conformity, just because this is a really crucial part of my own search in this area, is that I am very much against conformity to the point of having hang-ups about it, of when I was younger possibly being manipulatable by reverse psychology, because I'm against conformity, and not just in this a semi-traditional sense where people are against conformity because they don't want to be made to conform, but they still want everybody else like them. In other words, they're not really against the whole picture of conformity. They just don't want to be the ones to have to conform. They like someone else to conform. Me, I don't even want people to conform to me. I don't. I like the feeling of my individuality. So I'm
Mm.
seeking a way we can all live together in a distributed fashion. And I always felt that having this massive so-called civilization trying to get people to conform, yeah, it is a worse form of conformity than than a tribal form or a familial form in a lot of ways. But those other forms are also just as bad, and it's almost like it looks like, well, it's a matter of scale. A family that grows big enough that still believes in conformity is going to have this kind of social uh, conformant pressure. Now, I want to learn from indigenous societies, and the thing is, though, I also think we can learn from some of what's been tried in civilization. And
Oh yeah.
I also am a little bit worried about blaming technology when, to me, it's the way technology is used. I mean, for example, I do not just get on uh, to waste time. I mean, I have to admit, I enjoy the time online. It's intellectually stimulating. I do it because I enjoy it. So I try not to take it so seriously that I can't, I try not to give it more importance than it is, but I do take it seriously because I think what's happened is the public debate that we've had, again, in this civilization, so called, for thousands of years was never really that public. And now with the internet and just with people in democracies learning to speak their mind, that they can speak their mind, and that it's even their responsibility to do so, that we can all be in this public debate. And I think the solutions are going to come from that. I don't think people, I mean, obviously the people that are wealthy and prosperous from the civilization right now are not to be relied on for solving the civilization's problems, because the civilization's already working for them. So I really think that the solutions are going to come from this political debate. And once we all know what we want to demand, the politicians will sell themselves to us, and that can work its way out. Though I would also say that in my system, you probably if you're going to get rid of the word civilization, you could probably get rid of the word politician and whatnot as well, because I see a different model of leadership. But